Welcome to the Airgun Show. We've got a lot of night vision this week. I'm going to be taking a look at the ATN X-Sight II HD day and night Riflescope, but before that I'm out targeting nocturnal rats with the NiteSite. Right, I'm out for what I hope will be quite an interesting night's ratting tonight. Now, we're in a barn that's used by a friend who's a gamekeeper for storing machinery and feed. Now, he usually gets a few rats in here during the winter, but it's usually not so many that he can't deal with them by trapping. But this winter, there seems to be quite a few more. Now, the trailer behind me is used for storing the grain that goes into the pheasant feeders. Now, there's inevitable spillage from that, which creates feed for these rats. On top of that, there are also hay bales in here. So they've also got that warm, cosy place to bed down and nest. So it really is a very ratty habitat. Now, I've already had one ratting session here a few nights ago, and I managed to account for about half a dozen. But looking around today, there seem to be fresh footprints on the ground and some droppings, so I'm pretty confident there are still a few left, and we should get a few shots this evening. I'm going to be shooting from a seated position on my stool. Now, what I'm doing, there are signs of rats all over the place. There are feeding opportunities dotted all about. There are runs practically here, there and everywhere. And I'm just looking for places where I can put bait spots, where I can keep those rats still. Now, the last thing I want to do is put bait spots out where I can't see them. So what I'm doing now is just spending a moment to sit back, look at the places where I think the rats will probably be going. Now, I should think next to the bells is quite an obvious site. And also underneath some pallets, because rats always feel safe when they're underneath pallets. So I'm just sitting back, eyeing up the places that I can cover so I can put my bait spots there and get good clear shots at them. Now, just scanning around, it looks like most of the shots I'm going to be getting this evening will be between about 12 and 18 metres. Right, so let's get some bait spots out there. Right, so that's a bait spot that I hope will entice out any rats that are underneath that pallet later on. Now, I'm using coffee granules tonight. In the past, I've used some really stinky baits. Liquid iced cat food is a very good one, but coffee granules are just so much cleaner and easier to use, and they are usually pretty appealing to rats. Now, one of the best things about them is a nice small granules. So instead of grabbing big chunks and running off, those rats have to stop and feed, and that should give me time to line up the shot and take them with headshots. Going by my previous visit, I've got a pretty good idea where the rats are likely to be. And as I mentioned before, the important thing is that my holding baits are located in places that give me a clear shot. Right, well, that's the bait spots down. I can see them nice and clearly from where I'm going to be sitting. So all I need to do now is get myself kitted up and wait for it to get dark. There are lots of hiding places for rats around here, but the scaly-tails should venture out to feed once night closes in. Dusk is usually a real prime time for ratty activity, as hungry pests creep out in search of food, so it's often worth being in position by sunset. But the rodents here are tardy to say the least, so I'm expecting it to take a bit longer than usual for things to really get going. Right, I've been scanning around for a while, but I've not seen a single trace of a rat yet. But to be honest, I'm not too concerned because it seems that this place is just a bit peculiar. Now, a lot of places where I go rat shooting, you get a real flurry of activity just around dusk, just as the light starts to fade. It seems that those rats that have been desperate to get out and feed all day long, once the light dips, they come out and are very, very active. But last time I was here, it probably took the best part of an hour until I saw the first rat of the evening, so I'm not too concerned yet. I'm going to stick with it and we'll hopefully get some action.
Patience really is the airgun hunter's mantra, and mine pays off when the first rat of the evening eventually creeps out from under the pallet to investigate one of my bait spots.
Right, that one was on the bait spot just by the pallet there, which is very encouraging. Now it bounced off out of sight, but it was hit very solidly in the head, so I'm convinced that that was a good clean kill.
Accounting for the first rat is an encouraging sign that the rodents are on the move, and sure enough, it's not long before I spot a couple more in the same hiding place.
And that was another one by that pallet. They obviously feel very safe under there. And there was actually another one under there when I took the shot, so let's hope it comes back out and gives me another chance.
One thing worth explaining is that you can only see the beam from the NiteSite's illuminator because we're using a night vision video camera. You can't see it with the naked eye, so we're shooting with the stealth of complete darkness.
Flopped that one right off the trailer. Now, it's worth pointing out that obviously we have had a very careful daylight recce round here, so I know where it's safe to take shots and where I need to leave them. Right, well that was a close one, and another really solid smack to the head. Now a lot of people ask me when I'm rat shooting at close range, do I use 2.2 pellets, hollow points, flatheads, just for that increased stopping power? And in all honesty, I tend to stick with 177s and use the same domed Air Arms Diablo field pellets that I would use for most of my other shooting. Now, the point for that being is the fact that I'm just so accustomed to the trajectory with those pellets, there's nothing new to learn. So the way I'm guaranteeing clean kills is rather than going for just absolute knockdown power, I'm just making sure that I'm hitting these rats right in the brain. Wow, that one was definitely on the coffee spot there, but I faffed about too much with the shot and it's waddled off. Now the only slight consolation is that it went off towards the pallet, and hopefully it's going to linger there and will crop up again a bit later on and give us a chance of a shot.
Rats tend to feel safe under pallets because they offer protection from attacks by natural predators like foxes and owls. Unfortunately for this one, it hadn't counted on a strike from an air rifle.
And there's another one under that pallet, and I'm hoping it was the one that I failed to get the shot at when it was on that other bait spot.
As the evening wears on, the action slows down, probably for two reasons. Firstly, because we're hammering down the number of rats here, but also because the remaining ones are understandably shying away after tonight's losses. But we're not finished just yet.
Oh, that was another close one. It was a really scabby looking rat. I'm going to make that the last one for tonight. We've been here a few hours and it's absolutely freezing cold. And the last half hour has been very, very quiet. So we're pretty eager to get going and get warmed up. However, it's been a pretty good evening's tally. And combined with my last visit, I feel that we are now making a bit of a dent in the population of rats here. So all I need to do now is get these ones picked up and onto the fire site. A decent nighttime session after the scaly-tails there. And now, it's the Airgun Show news.
This is the Airgun Show news. We'll be at Stoney this weekend for the British Shooting Show. Starting tomorrow and running all the way through till Sunday, this unmissable event will welcome some of the biggest names in the airgun world, including Air Arms, Walter, BSA, Brocock, Daystate and Air Force One. Plus, optics, clothing and accessories galore. Don't forget to drop by on the Airgun Shooter magazine stand in the Airgun Hall. With special offers and goodie bags available, you can get yourself a deal on the best airgun magazine in the business. And if you're at the show, don't forget there'll be personal loans available instantly at the event. If you've seen a shiny new PCP that you just can't resist, head to Omni Capital stand in Hall 1. They can approve you a loan right away and have money in your account in less than 2 hours. It's the first time anything like this has been offered on the shooting show circuit in the UK, so be sure to take advantage. Looking further into the future, the Northern Shooting Show has announced it'll expand by a third this year. The new exhibition hall will add more than 4,000 square metres of floor space at the event, which returns to the Yorkshire Event Centre after a successful debut in 2016. As always, there will be a host of airgunning exhibitors and attractions that will make the show well worth a visit. And new for this year, it'll host a stage for the Target Sprint National Series. Early bird tickets are still available. Head to the website on screen now. And finally, if you're a big fan of putting your hunting photos on Facebook and Twitter, think twice before you post. That's the latest advice from Basque after one man had his shotgun license revoked after he liked Facebook posts deemed offensive. Basque reminded its members not to post too much personal information online or disclose any security arrangements. And think carefully about the image you're portraying when you post online. It's easy for an anti-shooter to take things out of context. Basque's Duncan Thomas said you should never post anything your mother wouldn't be happy viewing.
So, here we have the ATN X-Sight II HD digital day and night riflescope. At £799, it's certainly going to be a considered purchase, but it does offer very good value when compared with a lot of night vision gear, especially when you consider all of the features that it boasts. The big appeal of this scope has to be its night vision capability, which means you can hunt in complete darkness without spooking quarry with conventional lamplight. I've been using this setup for quite a while to target rabbits and rats, and I have to say that I'm very impressed with its image quality. It comes supplied with a basic illuminator, but this one's fitted with the £149 IR Pro model, which boosts detection range to enable you to spot rabbits out to several hundred metres. Another bonus with the X-Sight is that it enables you to save photographs and record video direct to the onboard micro SD card. So you can capture what you see on the screen during your shooting trips and either share it with friends or upload it to YouTube. Another thing a lot of shooters are really going to like about the X-Sight II is the fact that you look through it the same way as you look through a conventional scope. A lot of night vision add-ons feature a screen that necessitates a head-up shooting position. That's fine as long as you're shooting from a rest, but it can make kneeling and standing shots feel a bit awkward. With this setup, you shoulder the gun exactly the same as usual, which means you've got a stable and comfortable shooting position, whichever stance you choose to adopt. The standard mount has a Picatinny attachment, but I've replaced it with the ATN X Mount. This extra provides secure attachment to dovetail rails and also has a quick release mechanism for fast detachment. The advantages provided by modern technology don't count for much if a device is complicated to use, and I'm pleased to say that the basic controls of the X-Sight II are easy to master. You simply press and hold the power key to start it up, and then, in normal use, the left arrow key captures photographs, the right arrow key starts and stops video recording, the forward arrow key zooms in, and the backwards arrow key zooms out. There are two models offering different zoom ranges. This is the 3 to 14 times, and there's also a 5 to 20 times. Because the zoom is digital, the image does tend to pixelate at higher magnification, but the lower end of the range provides a crisp, sharp image and is more than adequate for airgun use. The Ocular Focusing dial at the rear of the scope sets the display to suit your eye, and it's something you only need to do once. The main focusing dial towards the front keeps the subject pin sharp over varying ranges. Pressing the central enter key opens the carousel menu that gives access to features like the rangefinder, a very clever ballistic calculator which automatically adjusts the reticle to compensate for things like windage and pellet drop, and also to settings for things like night vision colour theme and sensitivity. The display can be set to show an electronic compass and angle of pitch and roll, angle of elevation and cant in other words. It's handy when taking shots at an incline and can also help to stop you from canting the gun. And if it looks too cluttered to you, you can always set the display not to show them. The X-Sight II also boasts Wi-Fi connectivity. Simply download the Obsidian app to your phone or tablet and you and your friends can watch the action live on screen. And just like the Binox HD binoculars we had on the last show, it also enables you to navigate and adjust the settings on screen, which is so much easier than trying to do it while looking through the scope. One thing that is very easy to set through the scope is zero. All you do is take a shot at your target and then, in zero mode, shift the crosshairs to where the pellet struck while keeping the marker on the target, and it will automatically reconfigure zero when you press save. You can save several zero profiles, and there's a choice of reticle designs and colours. The X-Sight II weighs around 1 kilo and feels to be ruggedly built without being too heavy. There are O-rings just about everywhere to seal out the moisture, and it's said to be weatherproof, which is reassuring, but I'd still be reluctant to give it a proper soaking. It is very power hungry, and I'd certainly suggest investing in an external power source to extend your hunting sessions. So, That's the ATN X-Sight II HD, a very impressive day and night scope that boasts a staggering amount of features. But don't be put off by all those extras if you're a bit of a technophobe. It's actually very easy to use in the field. Its greatest strength has to be its night vision capability, and I've had some great results using it for my after dark hunting. That's all for this week, but we'll be back again in a fortnight. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And if you aren't already a member of the BASC, have a look at their website and check out the benefits you could be taking advantage of through Airgun membership.